people joining. So as I said, my name is Cindy Costanza. I'm the manager of technology for Denville. We have with us Kim Novak. She's also a member of the technology department. We have Mrs. Falavino from Valley View and Ms. Sudol from Riverview. We will be going over tools that we're using in our distance learning and taking questions at the end of the presentation. This is our agenda for today and the time that we have here. Still getting a couple late joiners. Welcome. Okay. So you just saw the general meeting guidelines. We went through the introductions. We'll go over next some general technology information, which will include virtual meetings and classes. I will go over that with you. And then Mrs. Falvino will go into some Google Classroom information, and Ms. Sudol will also go into some general classroom information. And then we will take questions and answers at the end of the presentation. If you look at your screen, there is an area that has a chat in it. If you have a question or you have a comment, you can type it in that chat. And at the end, we will go through those questions. If it's something we can answer right away, we will. If we need to more information or get more information for you, we will come out with answers to those questions shortly after the presentation. This presentation is being recorded and it will be up on the website to view for people who didn't get a chance to view it, or if you have anything you want to review later or share with your students, so that will be available for you as well. And we want to take a moment to thank you all for your help and supporting us during this whole time. I know it's difficult for everybody, everything that's going on. So virtual classes and meetings, we mostly have been presenting using Google Meets. And I know that some people have been using Zoom. Because of the concerns with Zoom and the security issues that had come up, the district is purchasing Zoom licenses so that the Zoom security will be managed from a console rather than each individual teacher managing that, and that will be rolled out very soon. We are in contact with them and have submitted our purchase to them. So we will soon be using that. I can't provide too much information yet. As I said, we aren't set up yet, but we will be shortly. For Meets, the best way to use that is through a Chrome browser, and you can either just go to meet.google.com, or for that matter, you go to the link or the nickname that's provided by the teacher or the staff member that your student will be meeting with. Technology help. If you need help from us, we're here for you all the time. There's 4 of us that are working constantly. We have our email. We are checking all the time. There's also resources available to you on www.denville.org. That will provide you with, right on the middle of the page, there's a big COVID-19 resources that has flexible instruction days, information, Mr. Forte's community updates, technology resources, and that's all on, and also a list of contacts where you can find everybody's email and phone number that works for the district. You will either be pushed through to them or you can leave a message and they will get back to you. The contact list is there, as well as a key communicators list, which gives you principal information, as well as Mr. Forte's information, my information, and other key communicators in the district. When you get phone calls from someone in the district, a teacher or myself returning a message or someone else, they may come from restricted or blocked phone numbers. So if you're expecting a call from us, please accept that call. I know it's lots of spam comes in and all that kind of stuff, and it's sometimes easy to reject one of those calls, but please pick that up if you're waiting to hear from someone in the district. If you have a technology issue, the best thing to do is email parentportal@denville.org. As I said, we are all always on our email, and that will go to the whole technology department, and someone can get back to you more quickly than if you just send an email to myself or to Kim, because you've dealt with us before. If someone's not well or takes a day off to sit in a different room in their house, I suppose, this is the best way to reach us. You'll get a faster response. And I just wanted to mention that student email, we do have student email, but that email is only for grade students in 6 to 8. So you can't send an email to your child. You can't use email of your students to try to email teachers. That's not set up for them currently. So at this point, as I said, if you have questions for technology or you have any comments, please write them in the chat, and then we'll review them at the end. And I'm going to turn this over to, I believe it's Mrs. Falavino, who's going to present next. And I'll turn over the presentation to her, and she'll share her screen with all of you now.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Jen Falavino. I've been teaching at Valley View for some time now, and I have been a part of the pilot program for years with Google. So I've kind of seen Google Classroom coming up and some of the features that have been added. So I know some of the middle school teachers have been using Google Classroom for a while. Your students are used to using it, but this is somewhat of a different environment. We're all adjusting. Students, teachers, administrators, parents, every household. And I just want to talk a bit about what you can do as a parent to help from home, because a lot of times there are, parents think that they can't access Google Classroom, but they can do that. They can log in as their student. And I just want to show you some of the tips that you can use to navigate and see, what your student will see and what you can do to check to make sure that you're seeing upcoming assignments and that their assignments are in fact turned in and done as they're supposed to be. So what you're seeing now is a Google Hangout contract. And this was shared with your students.
Top search results.
This is shared with your students, a few weeks ago in various classes. And it's basically just following the same structure as we're following now, to stay muted in the classroom and to use the chat feature for questions. We also do have set up in the middle school classroom a hand raising option, so students can raise their hands and teachers can stop. If they have a question, they can unmute themselves and ask, so it makes it a little bit more personal. But I do want to talk about that personal aspect for just a moment. Had a couple of meetings at the middle school level, and we're finding that although we are encouraging all students to be in those Google Meets, there is a schedule that was sent out. Mr. Corman sent out a document where students can keep track of all of their meets in kind of a calendar format, and so they know what their schedule is like each day. Those meets are staying the same. So every week we have the same schedule. They'll have social studies on one day and language arts on another, along with another class. So typically 2 per day, with the option of other teachers checking in as needed. So it's important that parents know that those are options, but also that they're options just to check in too. They're not necessarily lectures. They're not necessarily additional work. In fact, they're usually not that at all. They're just opportunities to check in. Our guidance department is also offering Google Meets, 12 to 12:30 every day, sort of like a lunch period to check in with their counselors and any other grade level students. 6th grade is Tuesday, 7th grade is Wednesday, and 8th grade is Thursday. And that information has been shared with parents and students as well. So just to go into Google Classroom and what you'll see when you log in. So you need to make sure, obviously, that you're logged in as your student. You can't log in as yourself. And it'll only allow, it's very much protected, and Google has done a great job of protecting students for Google Meet as well. We'll see that teachers had the added option this past week of including Google Meet within the classroom. So now there's an option just to click on the code for that particular class, and only students who are in that class can access it once the teacher is in. So they're very much protected. So when you're logged in, you'll see the indicators in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see my little Seton Hall pirate up there, and what we refer to as the app waffle. So when you scroll down into here, you'll see all the other Google options that are available, and you can keep scrolling down for additional ones as they are added to their apps. In addition to that, so once you get into their main page, you're going to see all of their Google classes. Now, I'm a social studies teacher, so you're seeing all of my current classes at this point. But What you will see is all the classes that your student is currently enrolled in, and you'll also see upcoming due dates. So anything that's coming due, it won't go, you know, weeks out, but it will go a few days, and you can see those assignments posted there. So this sort of acts like an electronic agenda. And there's an option here to click on the classes, which is what you're looking at now. And there's also an option for a calendar. So I know a lot of the issue has been students trying to figure out what's due, and for parents too, when it's due. The calendar option, again, you're seeing my classes, so it'll look a little bit different for your child, but the calendar option will look like this. You can either do the upper option, which is just for that one class, upcoming assignments, or you can do all classes, which is the default, and it will show you all of the upcoming assignments. So once you get into the main page of the class, you'll see a menu of all their classes. You'll see their current class here. So this will be to go back to the main menu. This is the current class that you're in. The stream is the default. So that is kind of like it's exactly that. It's always like a social media stream. It's a little bit frustrating because that's the first thing that you see. And especially for middle school students that have been using this all year, it's just a giant list of everything they've done for the school year. So I always tell my students the first thing they should do is click on Classwork, because that creates a structure of topics and units that we're working on. And usually the unit that they're currently working on would be the unit at the top of the page. So you can also click people or teachers. You click over here. And then, of course, you've got the same thing over here, the app button, and to make sure that you're logged in to the account. Over here, you'll have the same upcoming information on assignments that are coming due. And in the stream, this is where you'll see teacher updates. So this may not necessarily be an assignment, but sometimes just a reminder or, you know, a message out to the students. Teachers and often do that as well for parents who are on, if you have the Google Classroom app and you're getting notifications, you will get notifications for things that are posted in the news stream. So once you're into the classroom view, you're going to see the units in bold, and then you'll see the assignments underneath. So this is the Classwork tab that you would click on from that first page. Viewing your work is what you're looking at now. You have due dates from the classroom calendar. And the class drive folder is where you can view student work. I know that a lot of parents, when we initially started Google Classroom, the one complaint was that you're so used to getting hard copies and you're used to signing tests and quizzes, and the concern is that you're not seeing the feedback. There is feedback. It's on the documents and it's in the private comments. And those documents can all be found in that class drive folder. So if you're looking for any past work, whether it's completed or not, if it's been shared with your student, that's where it can be found. So number 5 over here is all the topics that have been available all year. So probably all of the units that have been available in your student's class. And then when you're looking at an assignment, you'll see the title, the due date, whether or not it's been assigned or turned in, or if it's late. There's also attachments in some cases. So the attachment will be shared with your student. So this is an important component, because as a teacher, you can assign something to just be viewable, or you can assign it to give a copy to each student. When it's assigned to give a copy to each student, teachers are able to monitor student progress. So we can see whether or not students are working in a document, even if it's not been completed or turned in. So we can see the time it's been accessed, how much time has been spent. And that's really a valuable tool for us. And it's a valuable tool for parents as well to see the document history. This is probably, I would say, for middle school, something that parents should focus on. A lot of times kids have managed to, they've been using this for a while now, so they know how to make it operate. And if you want, as a student, you can click a button that tells you that the assignment has been turned in when it hasn't. So you can click kind of like for your own checklist that it's been done. But as a parent, you really should be going into these assignments, opening them up and checking for yourself. So it will show that it's either assigned, it's turned in. You might see a check mark that a teacher's just checked it as complete, or you might see a grade. However, make sure that you click on the assignment. If it says turned in, but there's no grade, or if it says turned in and has a 0, you want to open up the document and check out what's attached. So oftentimes there'll be a blank document, so it's there, but it's not completed. Or the assignment is marked as turned in, but nothing has been done. So that's something when you get into this view that you want to pay attention to. So the other thing is so this is a view of what your student page will look like. So when your child is trying to turn in work, this is what you'll be able to see over here. So there's that mark as done that I mentioned before. They can click that. They can also unsubmit an assignment, continue to work on it, and then turn it back in. And then over here, you've got the different options. So if a teacher assigns something with an attachment, there would be no need for the student to create another document. But if it's an assignment that does not have an attachment, they just have to answer a question or write an essay or something, they can click here to add or create. And then they go down here to determine what type of file they want to create. Or they can add something that's already been created in their Google Drive or their Google Classroom. The other thing that parents have the option of doing is signing up for Guardian invites. I would stress a little bit of caution when using this. It's certainly useful just as a reminder, but you want to keep in mind that because of that turned in slide that I showed you, it could potentially show that work is done when it's not. And the other thing I found is that parents who are very much on top of it, I've received emails before the school day is over asking why a student didn't turn something in when realistically we haven't even gotten to it yet, or it hasn't had an assigned date yet. So when you get those notifications, it may show that something's not done when in reality it wasn't expected to be done because it's really just generating an electronic list. So understand that when those are sent, they're not sent from your student's teacher. They're automatically generated from Google. So it's a good thing to check in on. You know what's kind of coming up and what's past due. But when they come in, I highly recommend that you still go into their Google Classroom and take a look. Some students are really great at making sure that they get all of their assignments completed and on time, and they're very thorough. And some kids are having a hard time adjusting to this process. So it's through no fault of their own. Everybody's dealing with some kind of chaos and adjustment in their home. So it really would be helpful if parents could log in if they haven't already, and just keep an eye and offer some help, and then feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'm going to turn it over now, the elementary portion.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Renee Sudol, and I am the instructional technology teacher at Riverview and also the technology coach. And what I want to share with you today is just more going into the anatomy of Google Classroom for the elementary school parents. So the information that I'm showing on my screen right now is just an overview, and a lot of this does overlap with what Mrs. Bellavino was sharing earlier, the student navigation once they enter Google Classroom. And then, of course, indicating number one is that main menu that we'll look at a little more in depth, the stream that was spoken about a little earlier, Google Classroom, that's the Classwork tab that's so important, that shows the different assignments and then how they're turned in. And then, of course, number 5 is the G Suite apps, or we call it the Google Waffle. So the main menu, just exploring that. Once you click on that, that unravels to show a lot of areas that are helpful. We have the different classes that your child might be enrolled in. As they're in the upper grades, they certainly will have more Google Classrooms. The calendar, which gives an overview of different assignments that are due. The to-do list, which we'll go into detail in just a few minutes. The different classes that your child is enrolled in. If your child was in any previous Google Classrooms, they might be archived. There would be a list there. And then there's the settings where parents or teachers can turn off the notifications. So the to-do, let's just take a look at this real quick. So the to-do list is very helpful because it kind of gives an at-a glance of the assignments that your child would have. And it also just gives an indicator of the due dates, if something's been marked as done, and then it can be filtered based with that drop-down arrow if you want to look at an overview of all classes or just if you want to see specific classes. The student stream, as mentioned earlier, is just that conversation where teachers can post upcoming assignments or notifications for children to look at. And it also is an area where teachers and students can post public comments if that option is turned on. The student classwork is really the important place where you want your child looking. That gives the view of the work. That gives the outline, the overview. Again, we spoke about Google Calendar showing the assignments. The classwork folder where your child can find that in their Google Drive. This is the list of topics for that classroom. And then these are the different assignments that you'll start to see for each topic. The assignments on the classwork page, there's certain things to be aware of. The assignment, if it's just an assignment, it'll have that like clipboard type of icon with the topic. It'll also indicate if there's a due date, the directions, if a rubric has been added, the attached assignment would be there. And then of course, going into more detail, once you open up that assignment, it's going to share with you how that information, how that activity can be turned in. So what I want to take your attention to now is over here where it shows the child's work. It shows if they need to add or create something, attaching a file, and also where they can turn it in. And then of course, number 9, I'll go into detail in a few minutes about that private comment where the student and the teacher can share a private comment about the work. So taking a look at the turning in assignments, there's a couple things that I want to point out. For the first part, letter A just shows that if there's an assignment that the teacher attached, the child can complete the assignment and then just simply click that turn in button once that activity is complete. For B, there's that option to attach an item that's already been created. So if your child created something like a Google Doc or a Google Slide, they can then add it through their drive and then, of course, click the turn in button. And then choice C is to create something new. Let's say that the assignment is to create a poem and the child decides they want to write their poem in a Google Doc. Well, they have the choice of the different applications that they can select, then do the work, and then click the turn in button. So mark as done. Some assignments will have an option to mark it as done if it is something that's just been a directive to watch video or preview something, whereas others, they can turn an actual assignment in, a written assignment. There is that option to click unsubmit. Let's say your child works on something and says, oh no, I forgot to answer question number 3. They can select unsubmit, fix the assignment, and then turn it back in again. So questions will be another thing that teachers may post in Google Classroom. The anatomy of a question, you'll see it's different. It has the question mark. It may have a due date attached, a point value. Here's your topic. Teachers can offer 2 different types of questions, a multiple choice or a short answer. Once your child puts their information, their answer, they can click turn in. And then of course, there's that option number 7 to add a private comment to their teacher, or perhaps the teacher might write a comment back, great job, keep up the good work, things like that. So my next part is to just talk about how you can communicate, how students communicate with teachers in Google Classroom. The first one is through the Stream tab. This is communication that everyone is able to see, and if that option is turned on, that communication is between the teacher and the students in the class, but it's visible to all that once they enter the Stream option. The private comments are now different because that is between the teacher and the student only. This is not information that the other children are aware of. So this is a nice place to, again, compliment, make a suggestion, and we encourage students to go back and please revisit past assignments at the elementary level, because they may not always get that notification that a comment has been left for them. And then, of course, just navigating, how do we get to private comments? Well, the child, once they receive an assignment, we need to click on View Assignment to be able to post that private comment. And then in my final slide, you'll see once you click on the assignment, that private comment then appears where the student is able to leave the comment for the teacher, or the teacher is able to leave the comment for the child. Okay, thank you.
Hi again, this is Cindy. I'm just going to present, actually, no, that last slide just tells you who was here and who you need to contact if you have any questions. We have no questions in the comments section. I want to thank Mr. Forte, Dr. Forte, and Dr. Cullis for being here with us, as well as some of our other Denville School staff. We appreciate the time you took out to do this. If you do have any questions, please write them in the comments. We'll stay here for a few minutes and make sure that we get those answered for you. And have a great day. I'm not sure if anyone else, any of the staff has anything else to say, but if you do, you can chime in. Thanks again for joining us. So Mrs. Sudol or Mrs. Falvino, there appears to be a question about private comments and in Google Classroom. So maybe one of you can address that from the comments.
Just a moment. So is there a way to see all private comments in one area instead of going back to each individual assignment? No, unfortunately, there is not. You need to click on each assignment. However, it does depend on the student. So if it's a middle school student, the students should have their notifications turned on, and they do receive emails as well. So middle school students should be checking their email every day, and they should be checking their Google Classroom, that main page, every day with their assignments. So if they're receiving emails, they will get an email notification that a private comment has been added, and then they can click right from their email on that private comment, and it will bring them to the assignment that the comment is related to.
Did that answer your question? Okay, are there any other questions? If not, we're, okay, thank you, Mrs. Falvino. If there's not any more questions, we're gonna sign off, and everybody be safe, stay healthy, and we look forward to seeing everybody back at school soon.
Thank you.
This is Beth. Great job, ladies. You were awesome.
Thank you, Mrs. Ainsley.
That was great. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
See you later.
Have a great day.
You too.